Hi, in this video, we're going to talk about one type of higher order functions, and these are functions that take other functions as parameters. So here's a picture that I've found that depict what higher order functions might be. These are, I believe they're kind of Russian dolls. So these are dolls that can be, a doll can be put inside another doll, can be put inside another doll. So in some ways, I guess it's similar to higher order functions, which are functions that take other functions as parameters. And hopefully it will become clearer once I explain exactly what they are. So as we've talked about in another video, that functions are really just another type of objects in Python, which is pretty much like, the number one is an int object, or the string ABC is just a string object. Now, so just like these data objects that they can be passed around to other functions, functions themselves being objects, they also can be parsed to other functions as arguments, and actually even returned as results by other functions. So functions that can take other functions as parameters, they are called higher order functions. Now, higher order functions, they can also return functions as results, but we're not going to talk about it in this video. We're going to focus on the first type of higher order functions in this video. And this idea has actually been around for a very long time. It's actually a mathematical concept. And it happens that Python, because it treats functions as kind of first-class citizens, just as data, so it very naturally support higher order functions in the Python language itself. So our first example of such a function is what I'm going to call a do twice function. So it takes another function as a parameter, and it'll call that function twice. So let's say we already have a function called greetings, and when we call do twice with the greetings as its argument, then it will run greetings twice. So this is what happens. So greetings just prints out hello world. Do twice, it's going to take a function as its parameter, and then it's going to call function twice. Do it twice. And the way that we're going to call do twice is, well, do twice and pass it a function, greetings. Now, let me just run this first and make sure that it works. So I run it, and it, say hello twice, right? Just as we expect it to. The, the main thing that we should pay attention to in something like this is that function here is a func, right? It's literally the function object itself. So it doesn't have parentheses. If we have parentheses, it will be an invalid syntax, right? And here, once we have the function, we want to call the function. And just as when we call any other functions, we always call functions by its name, followed by parentheses and potentially with parameters. Now, this function doesn't take any parameters, so it's empty. So this is when we call the function that is passed in as a parameter. And then when we actually call do twice the function, and the parameter or the argument that we pass to it is the function, right? Because this expects a function. We are not calling the function here. So we don't want to call the function here, but we pass the function itself so that the function can be called inside do twice. And that's what this slide is trying to say. So make very certain that you know the difference between passing a function itself around and calling the function. And now let's do something slightly more complicated. So given a function, now this function takes a parameter. Greet message, it takes the message as a parameter and it just prints it out. And then we write the function that's kind of similar to do twice, but we allow we want it to be able to do it n times. So what it does is it takes a function as a parameter, but it also takes the argument to that function as another parameter, and takes n, which is the number of times it wants to repeat that function. So for example, do n times, if we say 10, and then greet the message, which is this function, and then the actual message that we want greet message to print out here is just hi, very simple one. So this call will actually call greet message hi 10 times. Okay, so pause the video and try to write this do n times function. All right, so hopefully you have had some time to try it. And here is my answer that so to repeat something x number of times, n number of times, we use a for loop in the range of n. Now, because we don't care about the actual number, so I'm just going to use an underscore for something that I don't care about. And inside this loop, I'm just going to call the function. This function takes one argument, and that's that. So I'm going to parse the argument, and then that's really it. So let's run this and make sure it prints hi 10 times, and well, believe that it's 10 times. All right, I hope that makes sense. Now another exercise related that, okay, if we have another function, move number of steps, and all it does is prints out, move whatever number of steps that it's called with, and we want to repeat this move steps 100 times, and each time we move 5 steps. How can we use the repeat or the do n times function to achieve this? And so please give that a try. And here is the one line call that we repeat 100 times the move function with the argument 5. So if we run that, this is 100 times, I believe. And this is very easily achieved given that we've already written the do n times function. I hope you start to see kind of the advantage of higher order function, but I promise there will be more practical examples. So, okay, well, as useful as it might be, there are limitations of do n times. Specifically, what kind of functions can it repeat? Well, if we look at the definition of do n times, it has to call the function in a very specific way, right? Func, and given a single argument. So that means this func, it can only take exactly one parameter. Okay, any function that takes either 0 parameters or more than one parameter, this syntax will not work. Now we can get around this problem by using this single asterisk, double asterisk thing, but we will get to this topic at a later time.